Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the PlotCast. I'm your host, Nate Slater.
And I'm Chris Sambrook, and today we're going to be talking about The Conjuring, The Last Rites.
All right, folks. So we're getting into the final, I guess you could say, main film in the Conjuring franchise with Lorraine and Ed Warren. And without jumping ahead too far and not giving you the warning, spoiler alert. So I will say, going off of initial watch, because I watched it 2 days ago, Chris actually just watched it. So it's both fresh in our minds. I will say, in my opinion, coming off of everything, because going into this movie, I was automatically putting it up with the previous three movies and seeing how it weighed in. For me, my favorite one was the first Conjuring, and then second, right behind it, very close, number two. And as of right now, Dead Last is number three. Dead Last.
Yeah, no,
And
that's agreed across the board.
it's just, I guess it was a good way to kind of put the nail in the coffin, so to speak, with this franchise, at least as far as the main title is concerned.
Right.
Uh,
This franchise has also spawned many ones like The Nun, the Annabelle series.
what we're trying to say is Conjuring has like spawned a giant franchise, which originally, they didn't think that was going to happen. Nobody does until you watch the one movie, it blows up, and you want to make more. So Ed and Lorraine definitely have had a lot of adventures, and there's a lot of
Let's not
backstories
forget,
that people want to know
let's
about
not
what they
forget
did.
that there is a big franchise attached to that. For those that don't know, Annabelle is in Aquaman.
What?
Since Aquaman was directed by James Wan,
James Wan. Oh,
he did put Annabelle inside the ocean at one point as part of debris in that
wow.
movie.
So they did a whole Star Trek thing where J.J. Abrams put R2 in the movies.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's funny because also in the Aquaman movies, who played the
The
brother
brother.
of
Yeah.
of Aquaman?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it initially, but after I saw some pictures online, I went back and checked it out, and sure enough, Annabelle is part of the DC universe now, I
Or the
guess.
old DC universe, we'll put it that way.
It's still tied into this one, thanks
Mm.
to a certain show.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, we'll talk about that show at some
Yeah.
point in the future. But right now we're talking about The Conjuring Last Rites. And I will say, initially, first watch, just coming out of the movie, I give it a 7. Now that might change as Chris and I talk. But Chris, what's your initial rating?
Okay, so I also have seen all of the movies as they came out. And yes, I loved the first one. The second one is more my favorite, but again, closely followed by that first one. The third one is dead last. This one is definitely a step higher than that third one. It's very slow. Although there are points in this movie that are slow, I still think this one is a little better. So I will give this movie a 7 as well.
Okay, so we're both on board in our initial review here. So little overview. The movie kind of starts with a flashback. We kind of see the Warrens on, I think, their first like big case, which
Well, no, I don't think it was their first big case. It was specifically their a case right before they have their child.
yeah, their daughter.
Because they had been doing it for a while before then. Um, and it does play a whole part. The reason why they didn't finish that case was because Lorraine gave birth to their daughter Judy, who is seen in Annabelle 3. She's kind of the main character. um
Well, Judy was
so-
also in, I think, the second one. Oh, I
yeah.
think she was in all of
Well,
them.
she
It's
was
just like,
in all of them, yeah. But she wasn't a main character
yeah,
as she was in the Annabelle 3 movie.
and this one.
um And this one, obviously, which, is super ironic that she is definitely afraid of dolls, and she is named after a very famous doll. Punch and Judy.
I didn't even know that.
Yep. If it wasn't real life, it would definitely be tongue in cheek. The writer knows what they're doing, kind of thing. Um, so I guess it's just irony. But yeah, so giving it that 7, there's obviously a lot of positive to say,
Yes.
and there's definitely some things. I don't even feel like I was nitpicky on them. I feel like they kind of stood out. And you may agree with me when we get to those problems, but let's start with the positives and the general story. And I'm just going to speed through this so that we have a general gist, and then we'll kind of nitpick or pull out things that we certainly enjoyed. Um, so the general story is started with a flashback, and they've done this in previous movies. They like to start with in the middle of the movie, or at least discussing what's going on, and then they come back to it. Um, this case specifically, they had the baby as a stillborn,
Yes.
but apparently a magic little prayer, not the Lord's prayer, not a normal prayer, just a please God fix this problem, and voila, there you go. Baby starts crying. Uh, could say it was the doctor's incompetence, not realizing that the baby did or did not. Because I mean, what was that? A solid 3 minutes without a heartbeat.
I mean, they said in the movie it was a minute.
Yeah,
I mean, it definitely
they
felt longer
showed
because of the
they showed
tension.
3 minutes, but yeah, later they discuss it and say this. I mean, it's whatever. It's cinema. They like to push on things. But yeah, no. So the baby is then named Judy, and already have seen her. So we have backstory already. Fast forward, she's grown up. She is dating, and the boyfriend, who does become fiance pretty fast, is, yeah, another main character that's added in. I will say that I do enjoy that they brought back a lot of the previous cast from
Yes.
the previous movies, which we'll
Especially
touch
at the
on.
end, yeah.
Yeah, especially at the end. Um, but yeah, a lot of their crew that they had in the previous movies come back first for um, Mr. Warren's birthday party, where we learned that he has had heart complications, and it's the reason why they don't really go out anymore. Um,
Which
and
they did touch in the 3rd movie, like, that's when it started
yes,
getting really to be a problem for him.
right.
But yes, continue.
And they do, assist people where they can, apparently over the phone or writing. That's
Yeah.
fine, especially for its time. Yeah, it makes sense. Um, However, they don't do house calls. They don't go around doing anything. Mr. Warren keeps saying it's not a retirement, it's just a hiatus until the
Yeah.
doctor clears him to go back, which the doctor clearly from his visit with the doctor has no intention of sending him back into the
The
war
field.
zone. Yeah. Um he apparently isn't eating healthy, and he's got these heart complications. I definitely thought it was going to be an even bigger part of the movie. It was just a brief, got to take his pills, suddenly he's okay.
Yeah. Well, I
Um
mean, they do, like, show certain scenes where, it's becoming an issue, like, with the ping pong,
Yeah,
match that he's
yeah, I mean, it
having.
was just little things here and there, and that's fine. They didn't have to really push on it, and it's probably a good thing that they didn't. Um, but yeah, they again that to speed through it, um, they have a large portion that seems to be relatively family drama, and it's not just their family. It cuts back and forth to the family that's being haunted and the Warren family. Ed is having an issue accepting that his daughter is getting married, and he's one of those, no one's good enough for my daughter,
Yeah.
which changes by the end. And Lorraine is very happy about it. She's okay with it. She does remind the fiance that they're not a normal family, um,
Yeah.
and that there are things he would have to deal with, and he accepts it. Um, he comes with his own little backstory. of almost dying, whiling the line of duty as a cop.
Yeah.
So he does quit and decide to help them. Instead of dying, he decides to go after the undead, I guess. Um, but no, it's I mean, it is put together pretty well. But then we also see the family in question that is being haunted. They get a mirror, which seems to be the source of the issue. This mirror is gifted to one of the girls in the family. They have four girls.
For her
Um,
confirmation.
yep. And they so it's four girls, the mother, the father, and the grandparents are all in the same house. So with the eight of them, all of them have at some point experienced some kind of issue with the ghosts in the house. That led them to constantly seeking out help from outside, which drew in bad press. They were constantly bombarded with the press. And while they were that attracted, I forgot what his name was, the father from uh, the previous, I think was it the first movie?
I think he's been in almost all of them, to tell
Yeah.
you the truth.
Yeah, so we see that he takes a liking to them. He checks it out. He experiences a full force of the haunting, and decides to go straight to the church. He goes to check with the local bishop,
Father Gordon,
and
that's what his name
yeah,
was. Sorry.
there you go. And even outside of the house, that this haunting seems to attach itself to people. And he ends up hanging himself um, at wherever it is. This it seems to be some kind of office that this bishop is
Like a
located
church
at.
office or something like
Yeah.
that.
But yeah, so he hangs himself, and that kind of draws everyone back together. Um, and as a result, Judy gets a vision at the funeral and decides to take it upon herself to go and visit this family, which then in turn draws Ed and Lorraine.
Yeah.
Their initial goal is to grab her and go, get out of there. Uh, Lorraine had a vision that, she either dies or gets hurt and just wants to grab her and go.
Yeah.
Um, as a result, they get there, they experience something, a feeling, and decide to check it out. They see that the family is terrified and remember why they did it in the first place. So they stick around, and that's where the real haunting begins. But the problem that I have is that that is over halfway through the movie at that point.
I
It
mean
feels like a huge chunk of the movie was just family drama.
like I was well, let's get through the whole kind of plot and then we can
Yeah.
double back.
So at that point, they are there, and the haunting that they find out pretty fast, actually, disturbingly fast, how quickly they go about it. Is, oh yeah, there's three ghosts. She just Lorraine just goes in the basement. It's like, oh yeah, okay, so there's three ghosts, but they're not the real problem. There seems to be a demon hiding behind them, and
Yeah,
thrusting them forward.
which she kinda says, the history that this was a giant farm or whatever.
It was a farmer and his wife, and her mother. And uh, when he found out that he was being cheated on, he decided to kill her. She went with her mother to the basement to hide, and he killed both of them.
Yeah.
And apparently, he also died there. It doesn't state if he died right away, if he killed himself, or whatever the case was, but his ghost is there, so he did die at one point. Um, and so the three of them are haunting it. Um, the weird thing is, how it's being haunted and how it's like attaching to other people.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why these ghosts keep appearing to other people further away, but you know, that's cinema.
cinema.
So they find out pretty fast what's going on. So they're like, hey, let's, search for the problem. They find out pretty fast it's the mirror. And the idea is to get rid of it. That's when there's a showdown. The ghosts and the demon are constantly pushing them away or trying to kill them with the things that are happening. Um, there, there's a lot of I don't want to say dream sequences, but like sequences that they see things that aren't actually there, and other people have to snap them out of it. Which, when you experience that once, twice, even, wouldn't you just always never split up, always have someone else? Buddy system. Come on.
Yeah. Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
Let's split up,
Uh,
gang. Well, at least when they split up, it's at least two or three of them, you know?
Sometimes, not always. There's
Mm.
there's a lot of singular person trying to do something and then weird stuff happens. But yeah, uh, so they do obviously eventually have big showdown where the power of family comes together and stops the demon. And it does seem to be the power of family.
Yeah.
Uh, I get that, what might have been actually written in the documents about the haunting isn't quite as flashy as Hollywood would like.
Yeah, I was thinking
Um,
the same thing. I was like, this
yeah,
probably didn't go exactly how this is going right now. It probably was like, the guy was out in the car, but they wanted to make him seem like a hero to have him part in the story. Like, I get it.
yeah.
The whole idea was this is the final film. Let's leave it on a good, happy-go-lucky feeling note, even though it's kind of sad. Like,
Yeah. So yeah, to catch up on that. So obviously they do eventually banish the demon from the mirror. Then it becomes just a regular mirror. Everyone's all like, "Hey, yay." They take the mirror obviously and add it to their collection, the room. Um, and then it does cut to the actual wedding. So the daughter and the fiance do eventually get married. And during that scene, we see a significant amount of cameos from previous movies,
yeah.
which was fantastic. It was nice to see that a lot of people decided to come on board.
Yeah, I
And
didn't even think that was gonna happen
yeah, no, not at all. I mean, we already had a few of the cameos already, you
earlier.
know, so you didn't expect to see a whole lot more, and you did, and that was fine. It was one of those the friends that we made along the way kind of moments. A good way to wrap everything up. It is strange that they're leaving it as, hey, this is the last movie, or at the very least, this is the last case they did before they retired.
Yeah.
It is weird that for a Conjuring series based on a family that got famous for the Amityville um, haunted house, they only talked about it at the beginning of the second movie and didn't actually do anything with it. Didn't have a movie on it, even though that's their most famous case. So I wouldn't be entirely surprised if eventually down the road we have a flashback movie, if you will.
See, I don't and, like, that's pretty much the whole movie. At the end of the movie, the credits roll and, we see some photos and stuff like that, and we get a little what happened, from then on. That's basically the movie. Basically ended with a happy ending as much as it could be, even though it was sad because, we know the history of where they're at now. But basically, every movie will start with the ending of another famous case that they did to kind of give you a little bit more without having to give us another movie, which I get it. And it also sometimes less is more. It makes you, like you said, you want to see an Amityville, movie
Right.
about it. But I
But
think
that's
they,
that's the problem. They were famous for it. We expected it, and then for them to just choose never to give it to people kind of feels like a letdown.
I think that they chose not like, I think it was a creative, process kind of thing because there's already an Amityville horror movie that was really famous, and then I think they did make a remake at some point, and I think they just didn't wanna retread something that people have seen a million times, so that's why they just
Yeah, but
touched
we
on it.
didn't see it from the investigative point of view
Yeah,
because
but,
that's
I
what
mean,
they are, the paranormal investigators.
yeah, I get it. We saw it from the view of
Hollywood.
Hollywood. We didn't see it from the view of the Warrens, really. which I agree with you. That would have been nice. It would have been nice to see all their cases, honestly, brought to the big screen. But the
Well,
thing is,
for the most part.
all their cases are probably not as eventful as the ones we've
Right.
seen, and even some of the ones that we've seen weren't really worth putting into a movie, in my opinion. But
Yeah, the 3rd one was, yeah,
yeah,
a letdown for sure.
yeah, but I mean, I get creatively why they were doing the things that they did in the movies, doing the end of one case and then blowing it up in another. And then even with like the spin-off movies that they've done, they're showing some backstory on not necessarily even real backstory. It's just, they want to take a character or a demon or whatever and give it more lore to like just make more money.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, so Annabelle obviously was the beginning of the first one. The beginning of the first Conjuring movie, they kind of bring up Annabelle and show the general premise behind her and then move on to the haunting.
Yeah.
And then they have, the Annabelle movie, which the first one is more them uh going to the first people that they met about it, and kind of we learned its first haunting, but from the point of view of the people that experienced it, as opposed to and Lorraine.
Yeah.
Um, they were more just a cameo, if anything, in that first Annabelle movie. And then the second Annabelle movie was how Annabelle became the doll. So it had nothing to do with them at all.
Yeah, which I haven't.
Um,
Just to go on record, I think you've seen all these movies. I've only seen
yes.
a handful. I've only seen the first Nun, and I've only seen the third Annabelle movie, and then all the Conjuring movies. Every other movie that's kinda in that universe, I have not watched.
Yeah, so the third one uh does have them in it, but it's they leave for business or a date. I can't even remember, but they have the daughter home and a babysitter who and her boyfriend, that are kind of the central part of that movie. Um and it's what sparks the fear of Annabelle and dolls in general for Judy. Um, and it was a decent movie. It also, because of their room of magical delights, um, a lot of things get let loose.
Yeah.
So it's not just Annabelle. Well, it's Annabelle forcing it to happen.
Yeah, they
Um,
made Annabelle, like, the big bad of that film.
yes. And it was pretty good. I mean, out of the Annabelle movies, that was actually probably the best one.
I
And
did
it
enjoy it.
was yeah, and it was tied obviously to this movie specifically because a lot kind of revolved around it. Um, but yeah, uh, as far as pros and cons of this movie, I mean, again, some of it is nitpicky, some of it is warranted, at least a discussion on how it's filmed or something like that. But one thing I'll say that they didn't do in this movie that they have done in the past, and I'm glad that they kind of just removed it altogether, is the fake jump scares.
I mean,
We all know how
they had a few. I mean, I pretty much
not
jump at every
necessarily
jump scare,
fake
but
jump scares, because a lot of the jump scares that we know and love are the um all of a sudden there's tense music and then all of a sudden it's just, oh, it's actually the husband or it's the friend or it's a person, it's not real danger at all. Those are the fake jump scares.
oh, okay, that's what
And,
you
and
mean.
they didn't really do that with this. Yes, they had jump scares.
Yeah,
um the jump scares, there was, I mean, there was a couple that there was no danger, like in their dreams. There was a couple of dreams, but I will say in this movie specifically, the dreams had a purpose. If they were just dreams, they led to go somewhere in the story.
yeah,
They were something was revealed to them in a dream. And if it wasn't a dream, it was a vision, something they were seeing
yeah,
as opposed to what was actually happening that usually led them to hurting themselves.
Yeah, which I feel like they put a lot of emphasis on the daughter because in the movie they definitely make it a point that she has the same clairvoyant abilities that her mom has. She just shuts them out. And by the end of the movie, her mom and her just kind of like say no, I'm a part of the family kind of thing. She wants to essentially be a Ghostbuster, which was another funny thing because this takes place in 1986, 2 years after the first Ghostbusters movie comes out, and they make a blatant reference because these are ghost hunters, and the college students that are there, they're like, "Oh, go Ghostbusters, we're gonna call them. You're gonna catch them," and they feel very not taken seriously anymore by society because of Hollywood. I thought that was a little funny thing because I was like, "Yeah, who you gonna call?"
Yes,
But
yeah, and
but
they bring it up a few times,
yes,
in that scene specifically too. Um, but what I'm saying is, I'm proud of them for not falling back on the fake jump scares. The jump
yes,
scares were intentional and led to something. Now, don't get me wrong, them learning where to go next in a dream is lazy writing. I feel like that was probably more, oh, how do we put hours or months of research on where to go next and speed it up in a movie? Oh, they had a vision, they had a
yeah.
dream.
Which
Um,
could have been, maybe how it happened. I don't know. Like I said, I feel like they were very trying to get the daughter to be kind of more front and center in this movie, make it kind of maybe if they want to carry on the franchise, maybe it won't be, you know, historically accurate, but make her the main character and she's a new ghost hunter. But that's why I said I don't know what she does for a living. I doubt that's
right.
what she does because that was what her
Well,
parents
if
do.
she does do it for a living, she's definitely not nearly as famous as her parents.
Yeah, because I don't really know. Like I said, I don't know what she does, but I feel like maybe franchise wise, they're just gonna do that just to maybe carry it on later on with her. But that's what I definitely kind of felt watching the movie. I'm like, oh, they're gonna milk this dry if they try
Yeah.
and go this route, which I hope they don't. They did a really good job in kind of putting in a nice little bow on the whole Warren
To an
saga.
extent. Again, I
Yeah.
do have some gripes. Um, and it's typical horror movie gripes. There are a lot of horror movies that fall for, especially the stupid actions, right? That's a constant one, right? Slip and fall here and there,
Oh,
whatever. The dumb things. This movie was not void of stupid actions. There's two specifically that stand out to me. The first one is when Judy goes upstairs because she hears her mom's voice in the attic.
yeah.
Now, yes, obviously going upstairs, sure. But, again, the lights aren't working. She does find a flashlight. When you scan the room with the flashlight and your mom is clearly not there, you do not further investigate looking in boxes and stuff. First of all, the rational side of you will go, my mom called me upstairs. Maybe she isn't in the attic. Maybe she's in one of the rooms. That's just the rational voice.
Oh,
The
I
other
agree with
voice,
you 100%.
yeah, the other voice is like, holy shit, we know this house is haunted. Maybe, just maybe, I shouldn't be snooping around by myself in a room where the lights don't work and where the floor I could fall right through the ceiling. You
Which
know,
they clearly make reference to later on in the movie. They're like, "Oh, so this is just drywall, right? Yeah. So I could just fall right through? Yeah." So
yeah, be
so,
careful. Yeah.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah,
Like, I
and
thought
then
that whole
yeah.
part was forced.
Now, I mean, obviously, she still goes snooping. She still does the stupid thing, and then gets attacked by the ghost. So she, leaves. But as she's leaving, she does the whole. The ghost does the same trick, but it's with one of the little girls from the family. They use her voice in one of the rooms. So she goes, checks. And again, she scans the room with the flashlight. No one is there. Leave.
Yeah, just go.
Just leave. Oh, wait, there's a shadow in the corner. Oh, wait, it's a doll now. Oh, wait, it's growing. Let's just stand here and watch this whole thing. No, leave. You just fell for it upstairs in the attic. Don't fall for it again. Oh
Fool me
my
once,
god.
shame on you. Fool me
Yeah.
twice, shame on me. Fool me a third time. And it didn't get that far, but, you know.
Yeah, she just doesn't learn, but,
No.
so again, this is good advice for anyone. You hear someone calling you, you enter the room is empty, leave.
And one of two things, either it's a ghost or your friends are playing a really mean joke on you and they don't like you.
Exactly. Um,
You'll
the other stupid
what you do is you just leave them, and then if they keep calling you, they're the idiot for
Yeah,
staying there.
exactly. You're long gone. Um, the other big mistake, the stupid character mistake, was the fiance. Judy's fiance is told to grab the car, and he runs. We learn after the sequence, which the sequence itself is crazy, but we learn he was just like 2 or 3 houses down. He goes to get his car, and he for some reason burns out, does a skid, turns around, speeds right down the street, and then of course ghost lady's in the street, so he turns and crashes, and you're like, do a 3-point turn like a normal person, man. What was that?
I
That
think
was
he was just
unnecessary.
trying to be the cool hero for
Yeah,
nobody, because
he's trying
nobody
to
was
have his
watching
cool
him.
hero moment.
It's
Yeah.
raining outside, dude, just back the car up. That's all he
Yeah.
had to do was back it up.
It was a
Like,
couple of houses, Jesus Christ, and then, of course, yeah, he crashes it. Now, my favorite part about that is that in the morning when they leave, his car has no scratches, and it works perfectly normal, and it was parked normally on the side of the street.
well, it was his rear end, so the engine's in the front, so I could see why it might turn on, but yes,
No scratches. No
yeah.
scratches whatsoever,
Wait,
and
no,
he
it di
left it. No, he crashed it in the front, and
yeah,
he
yeah,
left it
he
there.
did.
He left it because he heard screaming and ran back to the house, so how it was parked perfect, someone moved it. I think the ghost moved it. I think the ghost has sense about parking
And
properly.
the other thing that was funny about that whole time he's trying to open the door, and then he punches the glass, tries to open it, he's like, "I'm gonna go through the back." After you couldn't open it the first couple times, I would've gone through the
Yeah,
back.
right, exactly, and the funny thing is, like, you just punched a hole through the window on the door and then past 2 windows in the front of the house that you already shown us that you don't care about smashing windows. Jump through a window.
I mean, I don't know, like, I get it in
If
the
time
moment.
is of the essence, is all I'm saying.
I get it. Adrenaline's flowing. Some people don't think, but he didn't think at all. For a cop, first of all, for a cop, an ex-cop, come on, dude. You're supposed to be like, come on.
Yeah. Oh, man. But yeah, there were a couple those 2 stood out the most, but there were a couple of other moments, a lot of especially with, like, the family, but of course, they aren't the professionals, so you can let those things slide,
Yeah.
especially the stuff that happened before they got there. Um,
The other
but
thing
yeah,
too, they didn't give us a lot of backstory on the demon, did they?
they gave us next to none.
Yeah, because they normally let us know about the demon through each movie, but this one, the only information we got is that the
It's
demon's
a
hiding,
demon.
but the demon's hiding behind three other ghosts, and the only reason why they know it's the same demon from before is because of the mirror.
Yes, and, the weird thing is that it didn't use the 3 other ghosts after that basement scene. Before they you would just assume that to protect the mirror, the thing that, they're trying to remove that would have removed
Yeah,
it itself, um, you would assume that, it would use those ghosts again, but it
yeah,
didn't. In fact, it used them pretty early on. Um it was premature. It was a premature action there, on the ghost part or the demon's part. And it did like the second one was the first time they used the whole there's a ghost, but there's actually a demon behind it. And that was laid out very well.
yes,
We even learned that the ghost is trying to scare them out of there because there's a demon. He
yeah,
actually, the ghost is the hero of the story
yeah.
here, which was phenomenal. That's why I love that one the most. Um, and it feels like they tried to do it again, but fell
Yeah.
very short.
Well, I do understand why the other ghosts might not be interacting as much by the end of the movie because remember the realistic thing is Well, first, before I go there, the other thing that kinda irked me, which I figure out in the beginning of I kinda figured out, I'm like, "Watch, there's 3 ghosts." Why? Because there's 3 cherubs on top of the mirror, so, like, I
Yeah,
guessed that right
yeah.
away. Anyway, that was another thing. It didn't bother me
Even
that
though the
much, but
ghosts had nothing to do with the mirror
yeah.
itself.
And they just did that for the movie because the actual mirror doesn't have that at all. Um, in reality, you can look it up. I did.
Yeah.
Um, it was just for movie plot purposes, which to me, it would have been better if they just made it look more like the other mirror, because then you won't guess that there's 3 ghosts. Anyway, so the whole idea was the demon was trying to get the daughter there. That
Yes.
so they had to make it more, I guess, more menacing than what it actually was, so that's why they had, the demon employed 3 ghosts, 3 spirits. Which is probably why, because the actual mirror was connected to the demon, not to the spirits. And what Lorraine does tell us is that, this was once farmland and then the whole history. So technically, the mirror was not tied to those 3 spirits, it was tied to the demon. There, I just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, the whole always having a demon behind it is, you know, I d it definitely seems to be, I forget the actor's name who plays, Ed Warren, um, but he was
Patrick Wilson.
in Patrick Wilson, there you go. He was in the Insidious series, which also
Yes.
had
Demon.
a demon behind a bunch of ghosts. Um, I did enjoy that for separate reasons, especially the second one felt very Back to the Future.
I only saw the
Um,
first one. Oh, maybe I did see the second one, but I don't remember it.
yeah, he clearly has a thing for those types of movies. Um, but yeah, no, it just it feels like if you're gonna do it, do something fresh with it, you know?
Yeah.
Um, a lot of the stuff that we saw in this movie, there was nothing new offered. You know, when we saw the first one freaked us out because A, it was the
Yeah.
first time we saw it, but like the scene where the demon chick was hiding on top of the cabinets and they were
Yes.
looking around and they look in the cabinets, there's nothing there, you're fine. And then the girl is freaking out and the camera pans up and it's on top and it's all freaky. You don't have moments like that. You don't really have bone chilling moments in
Yes.
this movie. And a lot of the stuff that they do that, yes, is scary, has been done before. Not just done before, but done before in this series.
Yes, and to kinda defend it a little bit, because I don't really know how, like, I'd have to look up this case specifically, if it really was the 3 ghosts and the demon behind it, it just could be similar. From what I believe they tell us, uh, in maybe the second movie, that demons will latch on to other spirits to kind of,
Yeah.
so I mean, I guess that was explained before, but it does seem like, why would you show us this case that has kind of like the similarity to the second one? But I understand why they did it, because this was like their quote unquote final big case.
Right. And if you believe that it happened the way it happened and, you believe it 100% as reality, then technically you can't complain about how it unfolds if that was reality.
Yeah.
But everyone can take that for what it is. Believe what you want to believe. For a movie purposes, though, we know that it has the story that was given has been changed. It has to
Yes.
for
Hollywood.
theater in itself. You have to present it in a certain way. Um, the one thing that is pretty cool that Nate you sent to me earlier today is that this movie has the third biggest opening weekend for any horror movie ever.
Yep.
That's fantastic for horror movies because horror movies typically don't get that kind of exposure. That's usually reserved for, you know, uh, action blockbuster movies.
Yes.
Um, and that's great, but the only problem I have with it is that yes, okay, it drew a lot of people in, and I'm sure it's the franchise itself having such a good name, such
Yeah.
positive
A-
reactions that
and
drew
it's
people in.
and it's got real people behind it. It's based off of
Sure.
what
Yeah, I mean,
some
everyone
consider.
loves the whole based on a true story. kind of idea behind it, but they never say loosely based on a true story,
Yeah. Well, the thing
and
is
that's closer to the truth usually.
yeah. I mean, the thing is too is one, I would like to believe that there's ghosts and stuff like that, but until I experience it myself, which honestly, I would not wanna experience a haunting whatsoever,
That's
but
but then we get to be Ghostbusters because that would be the turn that we would use. We would be
yeah,
like, "All right, we need to build a micro, a proton
no,
accelerator on our
yeah,
backs."
yeah. Proton accelerator, oh my god, with a neutrino wand and all that kinda stuff, but you know what,
Oh,
we'd probably get su
absolutely.
we'd get if we called ourselves Ghostbusters, we would get sued by Sony.
Uh, Technically, I think Dan Aykroyd's dad coined the term originally. He
Uh,
wrote a book on it. He was the
yeah,
original
original
Ghostbuster.
Ghostbuster. But, there
Uh,
was also Filmation's Ghostbusters, which was a movie or TV show beforehand, which that's why they had such an issue trying to secure the name Ghostbusters when making the movie, but somehow they worked it out. I can't remember how. I saw a documentary, but that
yeah.
Ghostbusters, it's not a horror movie, but it's a great franchise. You guys should check it out if you hadn't
It is
already.
fantastic, yeah, especially the first one, period.
Yeah, first one is the
Um,
best. Yes.
but, yeah, back to it being the 3rd biggest opening weekend for a
Mhm.
horror movie ever. Um, the issue that I have with it is that some people might also have the same gripes I have. It's not the best representation. Like if it was the first one that got that status, that would be amazing,
Yes.
right? Because people would be like, "Oh, this is amazing." But some people could go in and go, "Ah, that's half baked." I could see where it's half baked. So that kind of puts a kind of a bad press on all other horror movies following behind it because people start to feel like, there's always like, did you ever see Malignant?
No.
Oh, that was bad.
Well,
Like
I mean
it felt good going into it and it was pushing in a great direction, and then you're like, "Oh, the serial killer is on the back of her head."
okay.
That's the story. That's the story. The serial killer is another face on the back of her head that she does not know is there.
Wait, is that the one where in the trailer she's, like, touching the back of her head in the shower and then there's, like,
A
another
face there.
head or something? I don't know, I
Yeah,
can't remember. I
yeah.
just might have seen the trailer.
Yeah, it came out during the, during COVID, so it was a weird time, people, it was a
Yeah.
weird time.
The
But
the dark
yeah.
times, the COVID times.
Yeah, so, I mean, there are some awful horror movies out there,
Well,
that
let's be honest, the reason why this probably had the biggest opening, one, it's a relatively decent franchise, and they also made it known that this is the last main entry. So, everybody wants to, experience it for the last time, quote unquote. Like I said, they could be setting something
Yeah.
up with a
Oh,
daughter.
at the theater, oh my god. Credits roll, people start clapping, I shake my head every time.
Hey, people clapped when I went too. I
That was
That's the thing. Like that statement was not a lie. I tried to get tickets for that movie on for Friday night, almost sold out in every showing. And
Yeah, I
then
had to
you
check a
tried
couple of
tonight.
theaters, yeah.
And it's Sunday
Uh,
night. We're filming this on a Sunday night, and Chris could not find anything.
yeah, I had to go through a couple of theaters to find it. Um, but yeah, no, it wasn't a bad movie, obviously. I did enjoy it. And for people who aren't straight up critics like us that don't watch movies and think about how things are made or how things are written, it could be a great movie even. Um, I have problems with breaking expectations and breaking the reality of the moment. I understand that people do stupid things in horrible situations,
Yeah,
but there's a level of logic that should rise for most people,
yeah.
beyond what is shown on film just to get them to a certain point. It feels
I
like
mean,
either lazy writing or just wasn't thought out properly.
I get it though. They're probably trying to raise the tension of the moment. I mean, make it more tense. Like,
That's the
which
problem, though.
yeah,
There are
you
ways to do
it
it
did
and ways
either
not
either
to.
way, it really didn't. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we don't need to go into it, but the simple fix is, trying to open the door, your answer, crash through the window, break the window, or just go around back like you originally thought. It was like a good 5 minutes while that was going on. So
Yeah, there's a lot of wasted time in a movie that was already longer than it needed to be.
yeah,
Um, but no, the point that I'm trying to make is that there are good, really good ones, even still coming out now. I mean, the most recent horror movie I saw before this was Together, which is kind of a body horror movie, which I typically do not like. I don't like body horror. It gives me the
what do
heebie-jeebies,
you mean you
but
don't like Human Centipede?
I did not watch Human Centipede. That is,
Don't. Nobody should watch Human Centipede unless
yeah,
unless you wanna know why you shouldn't watch Human Centipede,
yeah.
then you watch Human Centipede.
I saw the trailer. That was enough for me.
Yeah, you saw
Um,
too much.
yeah, exactly. And that was a horrible trailer to begin with. But yeah, no. Together, great concept. Um, and even the CG and practical effects of what is going on is fantastic. But ugh, it is nasty. But it's still a great concept. It's new. I haven't seen anything like it before. And that's the great thing about horror is people are more likely to take risks on something that is cheaper to make. And
Yeah.
horror is usually the cheapest of most movie types, movie genres to make.
I mean, example, James Wan is like the king of it. Saw right there,
Yep,
and they're
they do
still
plan to
making
go
more.
back to that, yeah. James Wan is coming back, although they're talking about kind of rewriting the lore and going back to its roots, I don't know how that's gonna work. It did get out of control at
Mm,
certain points,
yeah,
so
so I don't know if they're gonna from what it sounds like, it's gonna be, like, the next one in the series, like 9 or whatever, but he is very
well, if
adamant
they're
about going
even
back to the
doing
roots.
they did, Jigsaw and
Spiral.
Spiral, so, I don't know if it's just gonna be named something different like they've been doing, or if it's g really gonna be Saw insert number
Yeah,
here.
because Jigsaw was like a prequel, and then Spiral was like an offshoot,
Yeah.
with a new
I
guy
did
kind of
hear
taking over.
somewhere that they were kind of discussing rewriting certain aspects of it, rewriting the history of it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know where that's gonna go. Maybe it'll be good, maybe it won't.
By the end of it, Cary Elwes, I think his
Yeah.
name was Doctor Gordon, he technically is still alive. Or I think. Wait, no. Did they kill him off at some point? Because I remember him leaving somebody else there and closing the door, and
Yeah, no,
then
you
I can't
find
remember.
his body in the 2nd movie or
No, but
2nd
he
yeah.
got by, like, Saw
Yeah, but
7
you're
or
right.
whatever,
Yeah.
he's still alive. Like, the one thing that's cool about Saw is that it's so elaborate and they make it make sense, which makes it good, even though it's a little over the top, but
Yeah. Well, there's
I
a lot of over the top, and if we wanna talk over the top, you've got The Evil Dead, and I
yeah.
love those movies, and they're
Yes.
way over the top.
Yes.
Uh, but yeah,
And we got
as
another one
far
of
as
those coming out soon. Sorry to cut
yes,
you off.
yes,
I
we
just
do, I can't wait, actually. Um,
Me neither.
but yeah, another, uh, more recent movie that I saw that I was satisfied with was Alien Romulus, and that has then since pushed open the door to Alien Earth, which is a phenomenal series. It may not be a movie, but it is really honestly, it feels like each episode is a partial movie.
So, like,
It
Alien's technically horror, isn't it sci-fi? Well, I guess it's sci-fi horror.
sci-fi horror.
Okay.
Um, the horror aspect is kind of the major aspect of the series as it is, unless you're watching the 4th one, which is just absurd. That's a movie that I don't even wanna get into. It's most people do not acknowledge it.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say the only recent horror movie because I don't watch too many horror movies only because for me, it's hard to get something to catch my eye because I feel a lot of horror movies just get too campy and too ridiculous. Like, if it's, like, got a big name attached to it, usually I'll watch it, like you said, Evil Dead, or even Evil Dead is kinda campy and outrageous, but it's meant to be. That is what it
Yeah.
is, and then, Conjuring, that was most for the most part, the series is solid, so I was excited to see the 4th one, hopefully it was to get the bad taste of the 3rd one out of my mouth, so and
Yeah.
it did, it, definitely, was a step up, not the greatest, not the worst, but the only horror movie I saw recently was Terrifier 3, and I never saw any of the Terrifier movies, but because 3 was coming out and people started talking about it, I watched the little shorts that came before it with the character played by somebody else. Art the Clown, and then I saw the main movies 1 and 2. They were almost in the same vein as Evil Dead because it was kinda like slapstick horror. I guess that's the best way you could call it. Like, it wasn't really terrifying like the name suggests. It was more goofy, wacky, what can we do to gross people out kind of horror movie. And then going back to it, I saw the third one. Third one actually wasn't too bad. It wasn't as bad. Like the first one was kind of more independent. Second one got that little bump, and the third one seemed more of a bigger budget film. And I thought it was decent for what it was. I still don't think it is not as good as the Conjuring series, I can tell you that, which
Yeah.
they're also making a 4th Terrifier movie to make it like the last one, but, horror movies, they never die.
No,
Or
no.
horror
I mean,
franchises,
it's
rather.
like, what was it? 28 Years Later that recently came out.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those.
The first one was great, cult status right from the beginning. The second one made sense, realistically as a follow-up. It made sense. Uh, 28 Years Later felt kind of like a cop out from the series. It was still a good movie, don't get me wrong. But the idea that these somewhat they're not zombies, they're not undead. They just have this rage virus.
Okay.
But the idea that they survived that long, because even at the end of the first one they show them dying off, whether it be from the cold or from starvation or whatever. um it just doesn't make sense. There's no way they found enough people for 28 years to continue feeding themselves or animals, especially in Britain, that is an island. Like, they would eventually run dry of food, even if they killed everyone. Um, and it blows my mind that they want us to believe that, some of them are living off of worms and bugs. Yes, they do that. And
Hmm.
they're very fat.
I don't know. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
lot of protein, I guess.
Like, the story itself was still very good. It could have been a great standalone zombie movie, though, like a script for a standalone zombie movie, as opposed to this is the third in this franchise, even though the first and second one already showed us that it couldn't get this far.
Don't they have another one coming out in, like, October or something?
No, I don't think
No.
so. 28 Years Later came out last month.
I'm gonna look it up right now while we're on the 28 years later, 28 weeks later, 28 years later, The Bone Temple comes out next year.
Really?
Yes,
Wow, that's
2026.
unnecessary.
Cillian Murphy's in it, Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Oh, okay. Okay, so Aaron Taylor Johnson is the star in 28 Years Later. He does obviously survive now that you know that he's going to be in the next one. And Cillian Murphy was only in the first one.
And they
He
got that
didn't.
chick, Erin from, what was it, from, Solo. She was in Willow, and she was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. She's
Okay,
gonna be in
yeah.
it too.
Okay, cool. Um, yeah, the movie itself felt unnecessary. Still a good movie. Could have been used outside the franchise and still worked. But in the franchise, it kind of defeated the purpose, or at least previously laid foundation, if you will.
Okay.
Nosferatu, we both saw last year.
Yes. I completely forgot about that, but
Yeah.
that felt more like an old school horror movie, and it was very slow and kind of not your it wasn't your typical Hollywood horror movie,
No,
which
because
if you're
it followed the building blocks of the original story. Building blocks, mind you,
yes,
not um, but it worked really well. I
yes,
know that they came out with a werewolf movie shortly afterwards.
I didn't see that.
I didn't see it either. Um, but it feels like they're trying to bring back that old school feel of, Nosferatu, Dracula, and Wolfman.
Yeah, they're
You wait.
definitely
Well,
trying to bring these classic horror characters back to the forefront of Hollywood.
right.
I mean,
And did you recently watch Death of the Unicorn? I know that's more of
I
a comedy,
it
but
was like a dark comedy slash horror. I mean, I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to. But it was another kind
did
of
you enjoy it better than the last Final Destination movie?
Nah, I guess I gotta say, yeah. Or that see, that's another one I completely forgot about. I recently watched the
Some
final
movies are very much forgettable.
yeah, I watched the newest Final Destination movie, and it was thank God it was on HBO Max, 'cause I'm glad I didn't spend money to go watch that. Yeah, the beginning setup, not too bad. The rest of the movie, not worth it. Uh,
Yeah.
I
Some
mean,
movies are like that. They start with a great concept, and then they just go nowhere with it.
although, I will say it was nice to see Tony Todd on the big screen one last time. You could see he definitely struggled towards the end there, so it was a nice little feather in the cap for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess thank you for jogging my memory on that, Chris.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was a movie I didn't even wanna watch,
Yeah.
so
Well, I just told you you don't need to.
yep.
Uh, it's one of those movies that you could just ask me, and that's one of the things. I have I've said it before, my taste in movies is a lot lighter than Chris's, so, uh, he will harsh things more on a heavier kind of, what would you say? Heavy
I just like a cohesive story.
yeah,
Like, it doesn't have to be realistic because I like sci-fi. Sci-fi isn't based on realism, it's based on what could happen if science progressed this way or whatever. I just need an explanation to get me into the movie. Once I'm in the movie, as long as you have a cohesive story, it doesn't matter where it goes, I will follow. But when you just start, either going against the rules you've set or defying logic without an explanation, then I'm lost.
yeah, Chris is more a cerebral assassin, if you would, when it comes to films. I'm kind of more of a turn your brain off and enjoy not having to deal with real life. Although, it's not like that for every movie, but for the most part it is for me. I can sometimes enjoy the lesser of entertaining movies, but
You did
anyway.
watch, Sinners, right?
Yes, I did. There's another horror movie which I actually thought it was a good movie, but I felt like I saw the movie before. It felt like Dusk Till Dawn, and
It does, yes.
with a different twist. I did like it though.
Irish gypsy vampire comes to
Yeah.
the States looking for the god of music, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
I was
sounds like a weird premise. When you watch it, it's a little more cohesive than that. Again, that's my point, right? Like, it is a ridiculous concept when you break it down like that.
yes,
But if it's laid out correctly and they give you reason to believe something, as long as the story itself then fits, it's good.
yes,
Yes, there's some campiness. Yes, there's
yes.
like I think the thing that took me out of it a lot, while I like Michael B. Jordan as an actor, you
The
could
twin
tell
part.
he was having a trouble because he plays two characters. He plays his twins.
Yeah,
You could tell he wasn't either comfortable or wasn't very used to working with himself who isn't there yet, kind
yes.
of thing.
I
He
mean, I'm
must
sure
be
they
one of
had to
those actors
stand
that
in certain scenes.
yeah. Well, sure, but the stand-in isn't the one truly acting. The
Mhm.
standing is their standing,
Yeah,
literally. Um, so he's acting off of either a stand-in person or usually person in a morph suit so they can remove them completely,
yeah.
which is hard to do because you're trying to be serious and you're looking at this green
Green
person.
blob.
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
the only thing that took me out of the movie is that it felt like I watched From Dusk Till Dawn again. Other than that,
I did kind
if
of enjoy that though.
yeah, if I would've watched it not seeing From Dusk Till Dawn, I would have enjoyed it better because it would have felt more fresh to me, but it felt like I've kinda seen the movie before. Although it did have a different taste because it was in a different era, which was kinda cool, bootlegging times and stuff, and, they had a
Yeah.
history with gangsters in Chicago and stuff, so that was pretty cool. Um, but yeah, that definitely was one of the better horror movies I have seen recently.
Yeah. That just goes to show there is some creativity left out there. I mean, a lot of the big horror movies, like, you have to search for, they're not going to hit the big screen.
Yeah,
Um, and it's a shame that it's like that. Although I do also feel movies in general aren't hitting the big screen anymore.
yeah,
Between streaming and people just posting things online, trying to get things out there. It's hard to sift through what's good and what's not, and finding the real treasures.
Yeah.
But they're out there, and it's nice to see certain big companies doing right by franchises they have. Like I said, with the Alien Earth TV show, each episode so far I have absolutely loved. So anyone who's a fan of the Alien franchise, despite the wrongdoings that 3 and 4 have done to us, um, it's definitely going in the right direction. So there is hope out there. And it is a shame that it is Disney that's bringing us one of the greatest horror TV shows out there. Yes, and I do want to state this: since Alien has a queen, then that
Oh god,
means that some of the aliens are technically a Disney princess.
which is insane. Wow.
It is insane, but it is a fact now, and we have to deal with it,
Yes.
along with Princess Leia, Disney princess.
I don't think we'll be seeing any of them at Disney though.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. They're going heavy into the R-rated stuff now all of a sudden.
it took them long enough.
Well, it took them Ryan Reynolds is what it took them.
Yes, he's bringing the big guns. So we're getting to run out of time here. So I want to kind of shortly. I want to quickly wrap things up here. Uh, Horror is definitely seems to be making quite a comeback over the past couple years in Hollywood. I hope to see more good things. Uh, as far as The Conjuring goes, I have a feeling this will not be the last that we see of the Conjuring universe. Maybe of the main series, but I'm sure they'll pick and choose, different cases and then turn it into a standalone movie. Like, who knows? We might get like a mirror movie or something like that, which
Yeah.
I won't want to go see it in theaters, but if it comes out on streaming, I'll probably watch it just to, kind of pique my curiosity. What do you think? You think they're going to continue on with this?
They have to. I mean, there's a studio behind it that will milk it dry for everything that it's worth, especially after how well this one turned out, and the audience it brought in. They are currently saying we would be fools not to do more.
Yeah. Like
We like money.
if anything, we might get a cameo of them in makeup and
Yeah.
stuff, but, you know, the thing is the actors are getting older, and as far as their portrayal of the characters, if you wanna look at Ed Warren, he actually was more of a heavy-set man, so obviously I'm sure that had to do with his heart problems too. Obviously, you had Patrick Wilson, he's a much skinnier man.
Well, I mean, Patrick Wilson does other movies, as we
Yes.
discussed earlier. I mean, he was in the Aquaman franchise. He had to be buff for that. He's not going to do the Christian Bale and starve himself and then
Yeah.
buff himself up for the next role and then get
I'm
fat
I'm
for the
just
next
saying
role.
I'm just going back to how we said it before. You were talking about, like, the heart attack issues and stuff like that. I was like, "Well, yeah, in this universe, we see him as this more fit guy, but in reality, he was more of a heavy set man," and, so I'm sure that the weight had to do with his heart problems a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
so just saying that, if it comes up and you're watching the movie, and you're like, "Oh, why is this guy, having so these heart problems or whatever?" This is just a depiction of him, and we're only seeing him really through this light here. Um, after talking about the movie, has your rating
Rating
changed?
changed. For a moment when I was talking about how some of the stupid incidents kind of spoiled the movie, I kind of fell back on how I felt at the time and started feeling, oh, this is more of a 6 movie. But then we discussed it more in depth, and I'm like, no, it's a good settle on 7. I think it's a
Yes.
7.
Talking about it, and when you started getting into it, I started thinking too. And then when I started talking about the points I was making, and that's why I brought up at the end there about Ed Warren's health and stuff like that, trying to put more light on it. We're only seeing the Hollywood side of it. We're not seeing the,
Oh yeah,
actual
for
real
sure.
life side of it, which goes both ways. Yes, the movie was more glammed up. Let's be honest, it 100% was. It's not going to be exact. They had to exaggerate a bit for wow purposes. But overall, after talking about it, I am still staying at a 7. It was really good. Like I said before, nice little bow for now. I do think they're going to continue with this. And will I be there to watch it when it comes home?
Maybe. It depends on
When
the
it comes,
trailer.
yeah, it depends on the trailer. It depends on, who's in it, what's it about. Like I've only seen the first Nun movie. I haven't seen the second one because the first Nun movie I actually thought was decent. I will give it that. But when I remember watching the trailer for like the first Annabelle and the second Annabelle movie, I'm like, these don't look that good. But the third one looked decent, so I saw it and it was pretty decent. So uh with that, that's the end of my rant. uh
All right.
I do, as a whole, Conjuring universe, I would like to see more from it, but only if it was, like you
If it's
said, maybe,
cohesive.
yeah, cohesive, and maybe if they do decide to go back and touch on some of the stuff we already saw, I don't think they'll do that because that'd be too. It'd just be too much to go and try and recast characters or whatever, or try and get the same characters and de-age them. I say what we have now is perfect. Leave it as is. If you continue it, shame on you. You shouldn't. But if you do, I'll eventually watch it. And with that said, we are out of time. We are Plot Hole Productions. If you would like to check us out on other platforms, we are on, Spotify, Instagram, YouTube. So stop by, give us a like, comment, subscribe. And once again, I'm your host, Nate Slater,
And I'm Chris Sambrook, and we'll catch you
in
in
the
the void.
void.